All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.
What's going on, everybody? Here on a Friday night, going to talk little birds. Going to recap the Eagles game in Buffalo with the holidays and everything going on. Unfortunately, wasn't able to do it earlier in the week, so we're going to kind of lump everything into one here. We're going to do the recap, and then we're going to do the preview game plan of the Eagles and Commanders Kelly Green week and a essential preseason game. But we'll go over all of the stuff that we're looking forward to, and everything along the lines of that. But to break down this first game, Matt, I know you and I go back and forth with it. Talking all this week, talking last week. What are your thoughts on this? The offense struggled mightily in the second half, as we know. We've heard about it, everything along the lines of that. But how do you place everything into perspective when you look at the game against Buffalo?
First of all, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy Kelly Green week to all that celebrate. I really liked that first half and how we were calling the game. And it almost looked like they had a plan scripted for the first half, and then the second half they either threw that out the window or gave the wheel back to Patullo, or I don't know, but it was like a completely different offense in the second half. Sirianni has a tendency to get not complacent,
too conservative
is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, so he tends to get way too conservative unless it's the Super Bowl, strangely enough, and then he's like totally down to pile it on. But the first half we were cooking, we looked great. I thought we were moving the ball really well. We were running the ball extremely well for like 8 to 11 yards a clip, it seemed like. And then second half we clammed up. It's almost like they said the defense is playing so well that we can get away with like 13 points feels like 28.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did not like the second half. Obviously, there's a lot about that being said in the media. I'm not going to continue to beat a dead horse, but like, what was it, 15 yards or something in the second half?
It was not very good. No completed passes.
But when you look at those completed passes, I don't think that falls on Hurts. I think a lot of it is, again, boils down to getting behind the sticks with conservative play call on first and second down, run, pass. It's like run, deep pass.
Yeah.
Consistently. There was no pressure put on the opposing defense, on the Bills defense. It was way too vanilla. We went back to the hitch routes. It's like we took a step back, and I don't know if that was, again, the theory was drain the play clock, because one thing I did notice is in the first half, and I think I said this to you, we were snapping the ball with like 7 seconds left on the play clock.
I noticed that too. Yeah, they were able to not run it all the way down. They got that back, got under center or in the shotgun with like 12, 13 seconds. Like it wasn't 8 seconds left and you have to quickly snap.
But if you go back and rewatch that first half, it's like they're getting the ball snapped with like somewhere between 7-5 seconds left. Whereas if you look at it in the second half, and I think a lot of this was let's bleed the clock. I think that was the strategy. They're snapping it again with like 1 second left, right? They're timing it. There's the slap on the back, and they're timing it with the play clock, and you're getting more pressure when that happens, and you can see it. I mean, there's no like conspiracy here. Like when you snap it with 1 second left on the clock, that defensive line has a chance to jump that snap, and they're getting more pressure, and you're seeing the consequences of that. So it was the tale of two halves. We know that it's been beat to death. The defense only gave up 12 points because they were exhausted. But I thought that D line played extremely, extremely well, and the secondary for that matter.
Yeah.
But like their receivers don't really scare me. But they shut down James Cook, which I predicted they would. And they were super disciplined in their rushes. And their ability to contain Josh Allen, which again was a key to our game for the pregame, was like, can you keep him from making off-schedule plays and killing you in the run game? So I thought the defense obviously was outstanding, like Super Bowl caliber, might even be better than last year's. And the offense looked tremendous in the first half, not the second half.
But
and Jake the Make was perfect.
Yeah, you needed him in this game because big kicks he made.
Braden Mann crushed it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I mean that punt. Unfortunately, Latu made a pretty stupid mistake, but like that punt was gorgeous, man. Like man keeps getting better every year, and it's pretty outstanding. I know. I probably talk about snappers and punters more than people want, but he's been a weapon, dude.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. He has been a weapon big time, and it's you really love to see that. And taking a look at the defense and just what they did, I think a lot of it has to do with you see what a healthy, more than healthy Jalen Carter does to an offensive line of another. Like it's just at times he was throwing the offensive guards around, and it's just like
that's a good offensive line too. They're they're number one in the league in rushing.
Yeah, they're a solid offensive line. And it's just like having him being able to be healthy helps out Jordan Davis, helps out Jalen Phillips, helps out Jalen, it helps everybody out. Yeah. And I just think like when you take a look at this defense and, Jahad Campbell stepping in for Nakobe, who was injured, and Nakobe's not going to play this upcoming week either, which figured that, give him as much time off. Yeah. And Jahad Campbell stepped in, had a fantastic game. And I think the one thing is you look at the hustle. On that fumble
recovery, holy smokes.
The fumble recovery, he was so far back, sprinted, beat the O-lineman to be able to get the ball, shows the full-out effort and everything that he has. And it's fun to watch him because he is such a talented player. And just, like, you're right, when you take a look at the defense and what they do, and it's just a lot of it has to do with the comfortability in the system.
For sure.
And they're talking with each other and they're playing as a unit. Like it's not just one guy or guys searching for the ball, their stats or an interception or whatever it is. Like they're playing as a team, and that's the way they play. And
they have a hive mind almost. Yeah. It's like everyone's on the same page. They're swarming together. I mean, like you're talking about hustle. You think about the Jahad hustle. You think about the heads up play by Cooper DeJean, although it wasn't a fumble. I mean, that ball was on the ground. He shoved Spencer Brown to the ground and picked up the ball. Like heads up play. They're just smart, well coached. And then you talk about hustle again. And you talk about that sack, that 21-yard sack that Jalix Hunt had that put them out of field goal range.
Yeah. Oh,
like, he was knocked to the ground, stayed with the play, and then was just shot out of a cannon and took down arguably the hardest quarterback to take down in the NFL.
Yeah.
So they're so much fun to watch as a defense because they're so well coached and they're so disciplined and they're so smart. Like, and I think that's one thing you were talking about, Jalen Carter. That's one thing that I don't think he gets enough credit for because he seems like just a dumb baby rhino out there wreaking havoc. But like, I don't know if you saw the mic'd up, but I mean, he called a couple of those run plays in the red zone. He was like, same play they've been running.
Mm-hmm.
And they came up and they made the stop. It was just, and Jalix Hunt was there on that 2-point conversion. The reason that was an off throw is not necessarily because of the pressure. I mean, the pressure helped, but Jalix Hunt was just enough in his passing
side of view.
In his passing lane that he had to get it a little outside of him, which forced an errant throw. It's just like everybody, even if you're not making the play, they're affecting the play in some way. And it's so like, it's these little nuanced things that I think a lot of us take for granted, but that's what makes the difference between like a good defense and an elite defense. And that boils down to smart players, talented players, and just elite coaching.
Yeah. Like you're right. Like on that 2-point conversion, like Coop blitzes while Jalex drops out. So, Coop blitzing rushes Allen, speeds up his internal clock inside his head, has him moving off balance. And then you have Jalex Hunt, who had dropped back instead of rushing the passer, drop back in that sight of view. So he has to make a little bit, one, off kilter throw, two, he can't fully see. And and that's what led to the pass being off. Just like all those little things that, you didn't get a sack or whatever it is, but you're speeding up the clock. You're doing a number of different things. And it's huge when you look at these things because they do it time and time again every single week. And the numbers, the sack numbers aren't there, but it's not always just about that.
But they kind of are. I mean, they took him down 5 times.
Yes, no, they did. But it's like when people look as a whole, they just look at certain numbers, but you don't really fully grasp it if you're not watching what they're doing, different things. And that's the big thing with Vic. And it all does kind of go off of the offense. Like when we take a look at certain games earlier in the year, like the Denver game early in the year, they had a big lead and they decided to not really run the ball and chew that clock when kind of what they did at this game, they should have done that game. And unfortunately with the Denver game, you had 2 chunk plays that ate up like no clock and got them into range. So different stuff like that. But the way Vic does the defense is he wants you, if we have a 2-score lead, okay, well, you can score, but you're going to have to make it 12, 13, 14 plays in 6-7 minutes because you're going to have to eke your way down the field. And if you make a mistake, then it's our ball again. Yeah. And, you take a look at this defense, the 4th and goal, when they stopped Josh Allen at the half-yard line.
That was incredible.
Huge play there. Like certain things like, and just they had the control of the game. And did the Bills start to kind of get some momentum and everything towards the end of the game? And because the offense was, really off balance and just not really able to move the ball and able to sustain any type of drive. So the defense kept have to be put on the field. And over time, that has an adverse effect there. But, they were able to hold their ground. And instead of kicking the field goal, go to overtime when you had all the momentum, they decided to try to go for 2 and just end the game. And it went the Eagles' way there, and they came away victorious.
Yeah. No, it was a nail biter, dude. It was I was not okay during that last drive. But like I'd rather my defense be on the field with the game on the line than my offense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like this defense is just so damn good. Like I have every confidence in the world that they're going to make the play. And when you look at that 2-point conversion, like to your point, the call by Vic was incredible because you could tell that they had scouted what they like to do on 2-point conversions, or at least like goal to go situations from like the 2-yard line. He knew that he was going to try to get on the run. He forced him, similar to what Jim Johnson used to do to Michael Vick. He forced him to his opposite side.
Yep.
Right. He forced him to roll and throw across his body. And he used what they call like athlete, right? So he used a Cooper DeJean as opposed to Brandon Graham, for example, like someone who's not as agile. So he used the like athlete to speed up that clock. And then he sim blitzes it, with Cooper on that side and drops Jalex. So he's still only rushing 4. So it's not technically a blitz, but he's still only rushing 4 and he's dropping out Jalex and making you like clogging up those lanes and making you you have to make the perfect throw to beat him. It's just, I don't know. It's such a pleasure to watch this defense, man. Like it's just so cool to watch all the moving pieces because every time I go back and watch a play, there's another thing that I notice. And it all has to go perfectly for them to succeed. And it almost always does,
So
knock on wood.
There was another thing I saw. It was some of the way that they use like their bunch sets with Shakir and how they kind of motion him in and the way he rolls out and does a little out route. And they did it the week prior.
Yeah.
multiple times and got huge chunk gains for the Bills, and against Cleveland, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And then they tried the same thing against the Eagles, and the Eagles perfectly,
Cool.
passed off the receivers, and were right in there, and he couldn't get it. I think one of them may have been one of the sacks. I think one of them may actually have been the one where Josh scrambled all the way, and of course Jalex Hunt sacked him for that 19-yard loss. But there was 2 different occasions I saw of them trying that on either side of the hashes, and it just Eagles were able to to dissect it right away and figure out exactly what they were doing, and able to just pass everybody off and make the play a non-play.
Their communication's insane at all 3 levels. One thing I did notice, and I wonder if this will become an issue, and this is the first time I've noticed it all year, but when they went in motion with Shakir, Coop was following him, went in man, and it almost looked like he was getting tripped up by the linebackers. Did you notice that? There were a couple of times where he got he had to like either run behind them or like kind of push them out of the way to get across the formation between the backers and the line. There were a couple of times where I was like,
I didn't see that. I didn't take too much.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find a clip. But there were a couple of times where Coop looked like he was going to get caught up in traffic pre-snap.
Yeah.
So just one thing to keep in mind. I don't obviously we're not going to see it this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that someone tries to exploit, or if we adjust in some way.
The thing about it is when you look, in the future here, going into the playoffs, depending on who you play, whether it's, Packers, 49ers, Rams, like they run that kind of offense in terms of a lot of motions, a lot of different variations. So you're going to see something along the lines of that. So
it's just something I want to keep an eye on. Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, it was a little bit of disappointing watching the offense in the second half, but the Eagles were able to get the win, move to 11-5. There is an opportunity for them to get the 2 seed. Of course, they need stuff to happen. But as we take a look here and we move on to the Commanders and the Kelly Green. So when we take a look at, what do you say?
Those are sharp unis, dude. They're so good.
I would agree with you there. Sharp unis, sharp helmets.
Just the whole thing.
I'm hoping to see a yellow. I don't want to say what the hell am I talking about?
The blue and yellow?
No. A white version of 100%. The Kelly Greens next year.
Let me ask you a question. Now, when we were growing up, those pants were silver. Do we like the gray, or do we wish they were like that shiny silver that they used to be? Because I think I'm good with both, but like
I'm okay with the way they are, because if you think about it, like uniforms are still the same, but they're not exactly the same. Because if you really look at it, I believe like these numbers and everything in the outline is more of like what the 95, 94. But then when you look at the early 90s and late 80s, the numbers were a little bit. It's a little bit different because they weren't iron
green. Yeah,
but it's still Kelly Green. It's still something that it's great to see. Like again, every single team should have a retro fit, in my opinion, and or go back to their retros with certain teams. Which again, we will see this offseason.
Night football.
Yeah, there's so much money to be made. Believe me. Like I said, I've said it time and time again. There needs to be on CBS and Fox a retro week where they have whatever number of games. Sometimes CBS has 3 or 4 games and Fox has 3 or 4 or 5 games or whatever it is. Yeah. Each one of the games has essentially a different year graphics. Like it's not that hard to do. I'm sure they still have, the certain things, or they can easily, be able to do that. Like to me, it would be awesome to see the 2003 bar across the top with, the logo when you get a first down or a touchdown, go like different things like that. The old graphics, it would be fun to see. Same thing with CBS. Now CBS doesn't have as much as what Fox did because Fox changed theirs a little bit more frequently. But even if you have a handful of CBS games and you do some different, I just think it would be awesome. One, And
let's get Ross on the call. Let's get Ross on the who will be calling the game, by the way.
yeah, him and Kevin Harlan. So it should be awesome. I always like.
Which I love.
I think Kevin Harlan is one of the most underrated.
I agree.
Play-by-play guys.
I agree.
And I think
love Ross too.
And yeah, me too. Like, I enjoy watching the preseason with him. And it's funny because he's going to be announcing this game, and as we know, a lot of the starters are going to be resting this week, so it's going to be a de facto preseason game. Yeah. And Marcus Mariota is not playing for the Commanders. It's going to be Josh Johnson, so you're going to have backup against backup. But we'll see. We'll see what they do, because sometimes I think you're going to see a couple of starters on defense playing.
You have to.
Like,
well, and let's, you know what? Let's dive into that. So, like,
who do we think is going to be starting?
We know Carter's out. They've already ruled out 6 players. You generally have 6 inactive players, right? So you have Carter, Dean, Epps, Goddard, Lane, and Phillips are all out. I'm glad Phillips is out because he tweaked his ankle and I had a panic attack in the Bills game, but also he hasn't had a bye week.
Ooh, because of the trade.
He missed his bye week with the Dolphins and came right here. And we had already had our bye week. So that makes sense. Good on them for keeping him out. So that's your 6 inactive. You only have 2 practice squad elevations per game. One of them is going to be Charlie Hewlett. Right? They opened up a spot for him. They opened up a spot on the 53 for him and filled that with Cam Williams. So you only get 1 elevation, which means that you're going to have to play more starters than you probably wanted to going into this game.
So my guess would be the guy that they bring up. So to me, it's between 2 guys who have elevations left.
Sam's out of elevations, right?
I'm thinking Brandon Johnson, or do they go ahead and bring up,
Gabe
Hall or a Taquan Graham as like an extra defensive tackle, that they don't have to, use Morrow or Jordan, that they can use Ty Robinson, Byron Young, and a Gabe Hall or Taquan Graham.
That makes sense to me. Well, and BG said he's going to be playing, so they'll probably have him at defensive tackle.
Yeah, and he'll play edge because to me, this is what I say. So this is what I see on the offense, and then you can let me know what your thoughts are.
Let's do it.
Since there isn't really much to talk about with this game, because again, this is what we have to talk about.
I do want to get into some of the players I want to watch, though.
That's fine. Yeah, no. I agree with you with there. So to me, this is what I think. I think, we had mentioned it too. I mentioned it to you. I talked to you a little bit about it here. I do think Devontae Smith will get his 1,000 yards. I think they're going to keep him in to be able to get him to 1,000 yards and then pull him, kind of like they did in 2021.
Yeah.
But again, Darius Cooper, Jahan Dotson, Britton Covey, you're going to see a lot of them. And again, you're going to see Calcaterra, Granson, and Latu. I'd like to see more Latu in the pass game. I'd like to see that. Of course, with Cam Williams coming up, I think you're going to see the start offensive line be Cam Williams, Drew Kendall, Brett Toth, Matt Pryor, and Fred Johnson. And then you'll have, Tyler Steen and, of course, the rest of the guys who are available. They'll be there as a just in case, but those are going to be your guys.
Is Cam a left tackle or right tackle?
They have him listed at backup left. So I think in the preseason, I'm trying to think, did he play left tackle or right?
I thought he was a right tackle.
I don't know. I thought he played left tackle in preseason. I'd have to go back and look. But whether or not they may play Matt Pryor, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. They may not even play Cam Williams right away. They may play Matt Pryor at left tackle and Steen at right guard still.
I was going to say they might keep Steen at guard.
So, we'll see with that. Of course, Tanner McKee, and then you got Tank, Will Shipley, and you may see some A.J. Dillon too, which you probably will see A.J. Dillon. And then on defensive side of the ball, what I'm thinking is you're going to have Ty Robinson, Byron Young, and then edges, you're going to see Brandon Graham and Josh Uche. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit maybe of Jalex Hunt here in like a very small amount. not a whole lot. I think you're going to see a ton of Josh Uche, and you're going to see a bunch of Brandon Graham. You may see Nolan Smith. I don't think you may see a ton of those guys, but I think you're mostly going to see a lot of BG and Uche, and you may see some Jahad Campbell, because I think Trotter and Mondin will get a lot of snaps inside.
Yeah.
Of course, when you look at the secondary, you're going to have Keely Ringo and Jacorian Bennett, and then you're going to see Michael Carter, Mac McWilliams, Sidney Brown. I think you're going to see some Reed, because Marcus Epps had a concussion, and you don't really have much safety. You may see Michael Carter at safety. That's why I was surprised not to see Andre Sam elevated, because he would give you that. Now, again, they still can make another roster move. They could find somebody to place on a phantom IR.
I feel like they would have kept Cam Williams on IR.
That's what I thought they were going to do, and I thought they would have brought up a guy like Andre Sam.
Yeah.
That's just, someone that could – but to me, that's where I kind of see
but it's one game, right? It's one game.
Yeah.
And then elevations are unlimited and reset in the postseason.
Well, yeah. But again, that's why, I say that when you look at the elevations, and maybe a guy like Gabe Hall, because you don't want to play too much of the other guys. But then I think to myself, but what about Brandon Johnson? So you don't have to play a ton of Reed or Michael Carter at safety, and you have to be able to have that extra body. Because also you think about special teams. If you have Quignon and Adoree and Coop not playing, and you have all these other guys playing, you need another body in the secondary for special teams. So
but
it's going to be interesting.
Well, the other thing is, what about wide receiver? You're not super deep at wide receiver, so you have AJ Brown, who's not going to play. You have Darius Cooper, Jahan Dotson. You're going to see a lot of them. And what, Britton Covey?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're seeing a Terrence Marshall. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do, because realistically, they should bring up a defensive tackle, a safety, and a wide receiver, and they just don't have that.
They don't have this. They don't have the wherewithal to be able to do that, because they have to call up the long snapper, because they released him, and which was surprising, because if you think about it, then you would have had to just bring up two guys. So
right.
You'd be able to bring up two guys, like a Brandon Johnson and a Terrence Marshall, and and you just take a look at it. I don't know.
It seems strange for sure.
Yeah. So interesting aspect of what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and to your point, I don't know what they do at edge. They really only have Graham and Uche.
Yeah.
You don't want to put Nolan out there, who's coming off the tricep injury.
It's why a Patrick Johnson, but again, he's got to be added to the 53.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I mean, Uche and Graham could easily play the whole game, but
yeah,
I am excited to see a couple guys out there though, like we talk about in the preseason. I'm excited to see Mac McWilliams and Jacorian Bennett get some play.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that you'll see Ringo and Bennett outside with Mac inside, and then you'll see Carter and Sid at safety. That's my assumption. And then you'll see heavy dose of Ty Robinson at D tackle. I would assume someone like a Gabe Hall will come up. So you're not subjecting Ojomo, and maybe it's just Byron Young and Ty Robinson the whole game. Who knows? I'm excited to see what Cam Williams looks like at tackle, because we haven't seen him all year. I'm excited to see what Drew Kendall looks like at center. I'm excited to see Uche get some play, because I think he was playing really, really well before the Phillips addition. And I'm really excited to see Cam Latu play a little tight end.
And again, look, it's going to be interesting too when you take a look at the Commanders because Larry Tunsil is going to be out again. So Brandon Coleman, their offensive line is pretty beat up. Sam Cosmi's on the IR as well. So they've got a makeshift offensive line as well. Of course, they got a third string quarterback in Josh Johnson. So, taking a look at, what they have, like, and also, Brandon Coleman is questionable, but he did practice full, so he probably will play. A lot of the other guys they're going to have that are playing, what it looks like Thursday notes. Okay. So Brandon Coleman was added to the practice report with a knee injury. So he was filling in at left tackle. So again, we'll see what goes of that. But, Tyler Biotish, the starting center, the Commanders placed him on IR on Wednesday. Sam Cosmi, starting right guard, suffered a concussion against the Eagles.
Yeah.
And Commanders IR'd him. So you take a look at their offensive line, and Brandon Coleman right now is slated in there. If he's playing, okay, you have him, Chris Paul, Nick Algoretti, Andrew Wiley, Josh Connolly Jr. Like that's and then if Brandon Coleman can't play, then you're probably looking at like George Fant at left tackle, the veteran, or Trent Scott.
Yeah, I was gonna say Trent Scott.
Again, this is like a glorified preseason game. It's what it comes down to. And we'll see what comes of it. We'll see how, Tanner McKee looks, because I think to me, this is, it's a showcase of kind of like what the Eagles had in 2002 with AJ Feely, like showcasing a player to then eventually your guy is Jalen Hurts. You can't keep Tanner McKee forever. I believe he's going to be on the last year of his deal next year. So in the offseason, if a quarterback need team, because the quarterbacks in the draft is not deep and there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. If you're able to trade and get a pretty decent size return, whether it be a second or third round pick, depending on how needy a team is and how desperate they get.
Maybe you have a Teddy Bridgewater situation, you get a first out of it.
Yeah. But again, I'm fine with
how we flipped Carson Wentz, the corpse of Carson Wentz, for a 1. So I don't put anything past him.
No, listen, if he can get a decent sized pick that then maybe the Eagles can turn it into something else. So
first round pick. You got a first round pick for Sam Bradford and a first round pick for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
I don't think you're gonna get that. I think at the best you may get a late second round pick.
Told me you were gonna get a first round pick for either one of those guys, I would have told you were nuts.
Yeah, especially with the way everything ended with Carson. The Sam Bradford thing I could get because of the injury and everything, but the Carson thing, I didn't think a first round pick was going to be attainable.
Teams are crazy for quarterbacks, man.
Yeah, and we'll see. Maybe it's a guy that used to coach him last year in the New Orleans Saints. I don't know. We'll see with that, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch because to me it's going to be that no pressure type of game that you're just going to watch certain things, and you root for them to win, of course, but we'll see how everything comes along. And
if we can beat them with backups and the Lions take care of business in Chicago, it would be an extremely, extremely good weekend.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it.
I mean, that would be just storybook shit right there. If you can beat them with your backups, the Bears lose, and you get a bye week for like a bunch of your banged up stars, you can't beat that scenario.
Yeah,
I do agree with Sirianni sitting his guys.
Yeah, you give him like it's not guaranteed you get the 2 seed. So playing the players just to win because you may get it. You have to hope another team wins. Like that's really not what you want to do. If you had the opportunity by winning to get that 2 seed, there's no doubt the players would play. Like
I loved his explanation. I loved it.
He made all the sense in the world.
What we control.
Yeah.
I can control that our players get rest. I can't control that the Bears beat the Lions.
Yeah, you can't control a 2 seed, but you can control the team getting rest.
I love that.
So, it makes a lot of sense when you look at it that way.
Well, what does Sirianni do?
Apparently nothing.
Decisions like that.
Yeah. And again, too, like if they're able to get, like to me, like looking at it, if they're able to get a 2 seed and play a team like the Green Bay Packers who are beat up, and they're going to be playing a lot of their backups, and because they're not going to play their starters this week, but To me, it's just they're such a beat up team defensively. Their interior defensive linemen, they've lost 2 or 3 guys. They lost Micah. You're taking a look. They lost a backup, corner who was starting to come in and play a little bit more. They're losing a lot. Yeah, they claim Trevon Diggs, but it's an interesting aspect when you look at this late and you think about what you're playing. Like they're not like there's no space for them to move up and down, so they're going to play backups. Like there's some teams that, like the Eagles, if you can rest your players, get an extra week of health out of Jalen Carter, Lane Johnson, Nakobe Dean, and you rest some other guys who maybe are dinged up a little bit and give them that extra week of rest. I think it's so beneficial. And 100%. Let some of these younger guys get some game action and help them into the future aspect. So I think it makes all the sense.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I love it.
So as we always do, and we're going to finish it out here with our last regular season Eureka Locks.
Oh man,
it's time for the Eureka Locks of the week. Who's your lock?
Alrighty. So our Eureka Locks last week were, let me bring it up here. I had Myles Garrett getting the sack record, which instead of winning the game, Pittsburgh just wanted to stop him from getting the record. So that was wrong on my end. You had Saquon over 100 yards. And James Cook under 100 yards.
So I was half right. Do I get half a point?
Sure, you can get half a point. That'll help you. Yeah, sure.
It's a shootout. It's like a shootout.
Yeah. Which now brings us to this week.
Sure, you can get half a point.
And I'll go first. I'll go first
good.
On this one.
Yeah.
So, taking a look at, I think I'm going to stick with this game. And you know exactly where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
I know. You just... Darius Cooper will have his first NFL touchdown catch.
Wow.
You didn't think I was going that way, did you?
I didn't, actually. I thought you were going to go the Tanner McKee route.
I was going to go Darius Cooper.
All right. I'm going to go Tanner McKee throws 3 touchdown passes in this game, one of which to Darius Cooper.
Okay. He's gonna have a great game, and the radio station's gonna go nuts.
I know. It's gonna be quarterback controversy.
Yeah, that's how it always happens. But now this brings us to prediction.
Yeah, I love that music, by the way.
I know. It works perfect. Now, last week I had the Eagles losing, so I was wrong there. You had the Eagles coming out victorious. I will let you start with the prediction for the regular season finale in Kelly Green.
I think the Eagles win. I don't really have much to say about why I think they're going to win, but I think they win 21-13.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Eagles will come away victorious. I think it's going to be a close game, 24-20, just because, the backups are playing. So I think it's going to be, it may not be the prettiest of games at certain points because of both teams having so many injuries. But I'm going to go with the Eagles coming away victorious and getting that 12th victory and moving on into the playoffs.
I will be there in my Kelly Green, rooting for the Lions, rooting for Tanner McKee and the Birds, and I'm excited.
Yeah,
I think I have a good feeling about this weekend.
Yeah, it should be fun. So I'm very excited.
Now, who do we play if we get the 2, and who do we play if we get the 3? Or does it matter this week?
The way the scenarios go is if the Eagles get the 2 seed, whoever gets the 2 seed is playing Green Bay. Green Bay is the 7 seed. They can't move up or down.
Okay.
If we get the 3 seed, then it comes into play. There's a couple of different things. Let me see here. Because I know, Saturday's the big thing because you have 2 games in play here when you take a look.
Niners, right?
Yes, you have Seahawks, Niners. That's the late game, but the first game is the Tampa Bay Carolina. Of course, has a couple of different things. It's not a winner take the division essentially because of if Tampa wins but Atlanta wins, Carolina still gets the division. So there's a lot. Now, if Carolina wins, they win the division. There's no ifs, ands, or buts with that. So there's a little bit in terms of that. But if Seattle wins, of course, they will get the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Rams win, San Fran will be the 6th seed, and Los Angeles will be the 5th seed. Now, of course, if Los Angeles loses, then they are the 6th seed. But
dude, that's wild that the Niners have a chance to either be the 1 or the 6.
Yeah.
That's insane. Wow.
Now,
pressure's on, brother.
If San Fran wins, they will be the 1 seed. But if the win for San Francisco means there is nothing Los Angeles can do to get the 5th seed, they will be the 6th seed. So we'll know, essentially, of course we'll know depending on the other matchups, but if the San Francisco 49ers win, no matter what happens, the Rams can only be the 6th seed. They can't move down or move up. So they'll be stuck in the 6th seed. Now, so
it's either the Packers or the Rams, most likely. Again.
Yeah. So it's either Packers or the Rams, essentially. Unless the Rams win, which the Rams are going to play their starters and they're playing the Cardinals. And so it could be San Francisco if Seattle wins. So again, there is a little bit of differences that come into play here, and what happens. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. A lot of the teams want that 5th seed because they're going to be playing the NFC South winner. If you're not going to win the division, of course, San Fran and the Rams, or San Fran and Seattle want to get the 1 seed, so they get that bye. But the Rams, they want that 5th seed because then fortunately they lost in Carolina earlier in the year.
Yeah.
But again, they'd want another shot at that, Carolina or Tampa Bay. So
what a wide open picture here.
Oh yeah. And you take a look at the AFC, you look at that, and there's potential that the Broncos are at the bye have the bye right now, but there's a potential where Jacksonville could get the bye or New England can get the bye. So that comes into play as well. And if you look at it, New England wins, they win the division. Buffalo has to play on the road, and Buffalo could play New England the first matchup. The seeds it's crazy because you have Baltimore and Pittsburgh. The winner of that game wins the North. So, what happens there? There's so much, and it makes it interesting too. You take a look at everything, and of course, also depending on what happens in the AFC North and what happens in the NFC South, that also depends on Eagles' opponents for next year because the Eagles play the division winners of both of those divisions.
Yeah.
So it's either they're going to be playing home against Baltimore. I think it's home against Baltimore. Yeah, home against Baltimore or Pittsburgh, and I think it's at Carolina or Tampa.
When's the last time we played Baltimore at home?
Well, 2020. Jalen Hurts threw his first pass, I think, in that game. I think it was 2020. And then before that was 2012 when they won their first 3 games and then they stunk. They won the first 3 games by the skin of their teeth. So 2026 right now. So no, they would be they would be home against the AFC North team, either Baltimore or Pittsburgh.
2020, you're right.
So they actually get a home game against either Carolina or Tampa. They play at home against the Colts, the Texans, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Commanders, Giants, Cowboys, of course. Their away games next year are Arizona, of course, Dallas, Giants, Commanders, Jacksonville, the 49ers, the Titans, and they play the NFC North winner, which is Chicago. So it's an interesting scheduled for next year. But as we always do, we want to thank everyone for joining us. Make sure that you're hitting the subscribe button. Make sure that you're following all the socials. Hit the link tree. Everything is there. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And we always end it with a very happy and joyful Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, aka Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.